Okay, if you want to clap. Hello and welcome to the Waste of Web Space podcast, episode 56.
Starring
Jimbo
and Fisher.
And obviously, we've got an interesting podcast title this week. Do you want to go with it, Fisher?
Yep, the episode is subtitled Love will tear us 2 meters apart. Love will tear us 2 meters apart.
Of course, from Joy Division. And the reason we've entitled it that is because, well, what could be the reason? What could be the reason why, if you're watching on video, we appear to be sat in 2 separate places? And if you are listening to us without video, it sounds like we are also in separate places, and it might sound a little bit like Fisher's on the telephone, because he kind of is. He's over Skype.
Yeah, we are Skyping each other. We say we're apart. I mean, at some point, that door just behind Jimbo, I might come walking through that. But no, we are in completely separate locations. We are mindful of our responsibilities in terms of social distancing. And as a result, we've got to find a new way of doing the podcast. So we're doing it over Skype. We're still trying to video it as well. So hello if you're watching it on video. Hopefully the audio quality is good enough. But these are the times we're living in.
They are. And we were tempted, weren't we, to... Well, this is really before all the measures came in, but we were still tempted to podcast together, weren't we? But then we realised sitting 2 meters apart was quite a challenge, weren't it, in those circumstances? So
yeah, well, the slight problem is that the room that we normally podcasting in my house isn't actually 2 meters wide, I don't think. So it will be very difficult for us to podcast in there. I'll tell you what. It's very much a box room. Now, if there was someone who actually lived in our house who was 2 meters long but had to sleep in here, then I really would pity them.
Right. Can I just confirm that you are wearing something on your bottom half?
Yeah. Not much, but I am, yeah. Are you?
You have to prove it. Well, yeah, I'm just saying because obviously we don't have to, because you can only see... I mean, I suppose we could do that on every single podcast, really, couldn't we? But there's been obviously occasions where people working from home can get a bit lazy, and you don't have to wear anything on your bottom half if you don't want to. Let it all hang out. Bit of freshness.
I mean, obviously, it would be a bit awkward if in the normal podcasting when we're sat next to each other, neither of us had any pants on. But yeah, I can confirm I'm wearing a...
Well, rather than it just being you without pants on.
Yeah. I've got a pair of tracksuit bottoms for a cricket club that I never played for.
Right. How did you acquire those?
Well, I was a club member. Loughborough Students' University Cricket Club. Never played. Trained for them, but never played with them. And I've still got the tracksuit bottoms. I think I graduated from there about 10 years ago. No, nearly 10 years ago.
So, things don't really change, do we? We're trying to stick to the same sort of things, aren't we, Fisher? And we need to get us drinks, don't we?
Should we get a beer?
We should get a beer. Now, obviously, we normally have a different beer on each podcast episode, and this time it's no different. So Fisher is going to share out the bottle for us both, aren't you? So
I've got some Golden Champion, and this is in honour of the people working tirelessly for the NHS at the moment. Both Golden and Champions will raise a glass to you, and we really do appreciate your work, and we do salute you.
Good stuff. Now, in the last episode, you might remember, or a couple of episodes ago, that I mentioned we keep mentioning pandas in each episode. Did you remember that?
We have, yes.
And then last week I said that there was something else that we mentioned on a couple of occasions, but I forgot what it were, and it keeps reappearing. And it was Leslie Grantham, and I don't know why we ended up getting him into 2 podcasts back to back. He's not someone you'd expect to appear in this, is he?
How very ironic that we're now broadcasting over a webcam as well.
Yes. So are you going to do the face?
I will not do the face. Shall I send you this beer across, by the way, Jimbo?
Sorry?
I'll send you this beer across.
Impression. Yeah, bring it out. So you've got the beer. Can you pass it over to me, please?
Yep, no problem. There we go.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
Cheers, you're welcome. What do you think?
Golden Champion, you say?
Yep.
Champion. Lovely.
Yep. Observant viewers may have noticed that the head on my drink was slightly bigger than the head on yours, I think, there, but never mind. It's almost as if pre-poured yours. Well,
passing it over digitally, it can have an effect on the quality of the beer.
Reduce the size of the head, yeah. I'll have mine anyway. Which just...
Cheers. Do we have to cheers the camera, Fisher? There we
I
go.
don't know. Chink.
We could have a clinking sound, but anyway, never mind. There we go. So
It's
things
probably worth pointing out for anyone who's watching the video of this. We're not quite sure when this gets edited together as a video, quite which side of the video we're going to be on. So the way I passed it to Jimbo there, it might have gone completely off his screen and he might be leaning in the wrong direction, but who knows? Who knows? We're all learning with this technology.
Things from the last podcast then, Fisher. Now, this is quite a good one. We did a mascot themed. I mean, first of all, can we just go back to the last couple of... Did we even... I know we first mentioned the coronavirus probably about 3 or 4 episodes ago.
Yep.
I think so. And you had a bit of a... You were jokingly doing a bit of a cough and stuff, weren't you? And we kind of thought, we never, as probably nobody in this country, imagined that this would be happening right now. I'm not talking about us podcasting in separate locations. Nobody could have imagined that either. But the whole thing of us being on lockdown and so on, it's just crazy, isn't it?
Well, if you remember, sort of at the end of January, we were kind of very, very tied up with Brexit. We obviously don't like to mention Brexit on the podcast, but people were saying, one of the problems is there'll be massive queues at our ports when we go through Brexit. And Boris Johnson was there saying, no, I think we'll be fine. I tell you what, absolutely fine. There are no queues at our ports at the moment whatsoever.
No. Well, we have got queues in the supermarket, so of course.
Well, yes, some people are panic buying, and it's a very different circumstance and world that we're in compared to sort of even just 6 weeks ago. It's interesting you mentioned that you claimed that I was faking having a bit of a cough, because I did have tonsillitis at some point towards the early part of February, but never mind.
You was a super spreader, I reckon. But anyway, we were innocently just carrying on our podcast as absolutely normal, and we did a mascot themed quiz, didn't we? If you remember.
It's because you're good friends with some of the mascots for Sheffield Wednesday, aren't you?
I am good friends with some of the mascots at Sheffield Wednesday, and there was a couple of news stories that featured mascots in that over the last couple of weeks. So I featured that in the last podcast, and we did a bit of a quiz. Well, guess what? One of our we've only had an idea being stolen from us, haven't we? Because a couple of fans and fans of the show, fans of myself, fans of Barney and Aussie Owl, were watching the chase. And they noticed that one of the questions in the final chase, which was the governess's episode, so there's different chases, it was the governess, and her question was, who is Barney the Owl a mascot for? Which football club? And we kind of, we'd already done a mascot quiz a couple of weeks before, hadn't we?
Yeah. So, obviously, she knew that it was Sheffield Wednesday. She
did. She got it absolutely spot on. So the only explanation, of course, for that is that she was listening.
No. Anne Hegarty stands inside the Barney the Owl costume. I think that's what we're talking about.
Say it. Fair enough. Fair enough. So, as well as that, we've got a quote of the week. Is that right?
We do have a quote from... We've not done quote of the week for a while, actually. In fact, I'm not sure we've actually done it at all. We sometimes do headline of the week. This week, I thought we'd do quote of the week. And talking about the coronavirus, we've got Michael Gove talking... I think he was interviewed by Andrew Mark this morning. And he said, the date of the peak depends on all of our behaviour. It's not a fixed point, a date in the calendar like Easter.
So he's picked the only holiday that moves.
He has picked the only holiday that moves.
Unless it's so regimented that in his house he will have Easter on the same day, whatever happens every single year. Do you reckon so?
It could well be. But I thought it was quite an amusing little quote to come out with.
Well, Michael Gove said that, didn't he?
He did.
Do you think he deserves a clap?
Go on, let's give Michael Gove a clap.
There you go.
Was that you demonstrating how you should wash your hands, by the way?
Yeah.
Probably better for the people watching the video of this.
How Michael Gove claps. Is that the message?
I believe so, yes.
He's been standing in, hasn't he? Because of course Boris has been taken down by the virus.
He has, yes. Perhaps not something Boris was anticipating, and maybe made himself look a bit stupid. Bear in mind, a few weeks ago he was shaking hands with everyone, saying, "I'm shaking hands with victims of coronavirus, and I'll still shake hands with them." Then all of a sudden he ended up getting it.
Yeah.
But what have you been up to anyway, Jimbo, in this time of unusual circumstances?
Well, I decided that I would stay in instead of going out at the weekend.
Okay.
I say decided. I mean, obviously we didn't have much choice in that, did we? But no, I've been on lockdown too. I've been keeping my distance. I've been seeing my daughter, and that's about it. That's the only person I'm allowed to see.
Oh, very nice.
Lucky me. Yeah.
I
every day on the webcam trying to get this set up.
Yeah, I think we've probably spent longer testing this. I think we've spent a good 4 or 5 hours trying to get this set up before actually doing the podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, I suppose you can't go out. Last night I was drinking. I mean, I had that much to drink that I can't even work out how I managed to get back from my own living room to the bedroom. But yeah, never mind. It's one of those things. But I've been on holiday before this all sort of kicked off. I went away on holiday. I only got back last weekend. It was an interesting holiday. It got got a bit strange towards the end of it when everything shut down in Portugal. One of the highlights, I went to one of those amusement arcades, and you get the big sort of grabber machine that comes down and picks out a teddy bear or whatever. Guess what was in there?
Go on.
Toilet rolls.
Toilet rolls.
Actually, genuinely toilet rolls in there in a grabber machine.
Saw that?
I saw that, yeah.
Right, I didn't think that was actually... So that was real.
That was a real machine.
There was something we didn't mention. We had a bit of a joke we should have done in the last episode, didn't we? Which links back to toilet rolls. It's a good time to mention that.
Well, yes, we can do. We were talking about toilet rolls and people panic buying toilet rolls. And I thought a good joke could have been to say, if you're really short on toilet rolls, the best way to economise is try and use both sides.
Well, why not?
Yeah, give it a go.
In desperate times, you've got to, haven't you?
Yeah, and also, if you follow the clear government advice, make sure you wash your hands properly afterwards for at least 20 seconds if you are doing that.
Probably.
That was one thing that happened on holiday. Also, I ate some steak off a hot stone. Have you ever done that?
Off a hot stone? Some steak?
Yeah.
What's wrong with the plates?
Well,
have they not even got plates? So we got no toilet rolls in Portugal. They've got no plates.
Yeah, well, they smashed them. I know, it's Greece, isn't it? The strange thing was, I ordered steak off hot stone, and my wife Vicky ordered salmon off a hot stone, and we were quite intrigued by it. And they bring you out the steak and the salmon, and effectively, it's pretty much raw or very, 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 very lightly cooked. And you put it on that stone, and it cooks it on the stone in front of you. And I had to wear a bib. I had to wear a bib while I was doing it. And to be honest, I love steak. And how do you like your steaks?
Burnt to a crisp.
Really? Oh, really?
No, very well done. I don't like any pinkness in my steaks, unfortunately. Although I'm not much of a meat. I like meat, but I tend to prefer crap meat, if you know what I mean. I wouldn't say I'm a yeah. Give me any rubbish meat. A steak's a treat, yeah, but
Okay, I really like steaks cooked rare. I'm not even that keen on. Sometimes medium rare. I wouldn't really ever like to have it medium. I like it nice and pink. I think it's amazing when it's rare, and it was very, very rare when he gave it to me. And you cook it on hot stone, it just sort of changes the colour slightly and cooks it a little bit, and it was absolutely beautiful. Really, really nice, good thick steak. French fries with it, really good. Only €15. Afterwards, I gave the fella a tip of €5 just because I thought the meal was so good. And it was only when I was walking away from the place, it actually occurred to me that I'd actually done the vast bulk of the work, and all he did was cook a stone. But yeah,
that is a fair point. That is a fair point.
And also one thing I try when I'm in Portugal, I went out to a little village. I think it's called Carença, which is there's not much there at all. Literally one pub, a couple of shops, a church, I think some kind of like heritage type museum thing. And I went into the pub, and whenever I go into these places, particularly when I'm abroad, I always make an effort to try and speak the language. So I went in, I spoke a bit of Portuguese, and do you know what the woman said after I'd ordered my drinks?
Did she say something in Portuguese back to you that I wouldn't know what it means?
Well, she wanted to know where I was from, so she basically said to me, she said, España? So she thought I was Spanish.
Well, you're close.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, all right, there's a slight difference between Spanish and Portuguese, but the main thing is she didn't think I was English.
Well, there you go.
I take that as quite a success.
So I think now we are on to the news, where we kind of look at the things that have been going on in the news. Now, has there been much been going on?
I don't think much really. Been pretty quiet, hasn't it?
It has, yeah. Maybe that's because most of the news reporters can't go anywhere. They're all stuck in their homes. There's nothing else to report on.
Have you noticed? I mean, behind us, while we're doing the podcast, there's not really much behind us. Is there? I don't know if you can just sort of see my guitar in shot there. Maybe. Obviously, you've got your Panda in shot behind you. I think so. Did we say that?
Maybe.
All right. Okay.
I'm joking.
But if you watch the news reporters at home, they're always sat in some kind of posh office with a load of really fancy books stacked up behind them, aren't they?
Yeah, we need to get some books to make ourselves look cleverer.
Yeah, a bit more intellectual. get some proper stuff on there. So yeah, on the plus side, we've moaned quite a lot about Northern Rail and the manner in which they sort of mismanage and run their train network. And to be fair, last couple of weeks, our commuting to work has been absolutely second to none, hasn't it?
Been brilliant.
Literally.
Yep.
Seconds for us to get to work, I think, nowadays.
I get my own seats. I get a coffee. I get, I get it. It's not just any seat. It's a comfortable sofa. Oh, this isn't. Yeah, sorry, this is just my house. Yeah. But of course, a lot of the train network providers decided that they would, to try and somehow help people in the coronavirus and support the efforts to keep people apart. They decided to cut down on the number of trains.
Yeah.
And we know that when there's, and it's maybe not so much of a problem now, but when they first did that, there was still a lot of people going to work, which only meant it made it a lot worse, didn't it? Trains were even more crammed than before. I mean, particularly if you look at places like London and the Underground network, it just made it an absolute nightmare, didn't it? So reducing the number of sort of train services that were there were not helpful at all.
Yes, exactly. So that's not the brightest plan. I did see that Hull Trains have sort of suspended their trains and they might be going bust. And I think, have the government taken over the ruin of most of the train franchises for the next 6 months? So that they'll absorb the losses that they get for the next 6 months, because obviously no one's going on the trains, so the train companies can't make any money.
So we've got right, okay. So it's not just Northern Rail anymore because of the coronavirus. A lot of the government's picked up a lot of the franchises anyway. Is that right?
I believe so. Yes.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, obviously there's a lot of famous people who've got the virus, isn't there?
Yeah.
Harvey Weinstein has got it.
Yep. But the virus did say it was consensual.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I suppose I suspect he's probably been tested for a lot of other things, other viruses in the past, hasn't he? Who else has got it?
Well, you've had Idris Elba.
Idris Elba, yeah. The name's virus, coronavirus. Is that his new line? Obviously, he's not James Bond.
Not actually James Bond yet. Is it being hotly tipped to be the next James Bond?
Yeah, only for the last about 5 years or so, I think. It's
going to change movies a lot, isn't it? If this is kind of the way that we have to live from now on. Imagine everything James Bond being done over Skype.
Yeah.
Just sort of like, but you've got your computer chair, so you can kind of go along. Like that, aren't you? So obviously, for anyone who's listening to this, wouldn't have got the same effect, but yeah.
Yeah. Also, we've got
cybercrime rather than sort of actual crime, which is still a crime in itself. Not saying cybercrime isn't actual crime.
The clue's in the name where it says the word crime in a type of crime, Jimbo. I think that gives it away a little bit. Prince Charles has got it, so he's in self-isolation. Prince Andrew hasn't got it, but the Queen's put him in self-isolation since last December, I think.
Yeah. I mean, all this has just happened just as Harry and Meghan have up sticks and gone. Yeah.
So obviously they can't do public appearances, but the rest of the royal family can't do public appearances anyway. So what difference does it make?
Exactly. What were they all moaning about?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's and like you said, obviously Boris Johnson and a couple of members of his cabinet have now got it, haven't they? So
yeah, Matt Hancock's got it, hasn't he?
In the cabinet, then this wouldn't have happened. But self-isolating there, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, everyone on that podium who appears at 5:00 every day on the news has potentially been at risk because Boris Johnson's been stood there shouting over everyone, shouting on all the reporters, because now even the reporters are based at home, aren't they? So
yeah. Do you think the fella who is he called Chris Whitty?
Chris Whitty.
Yeah. Do you think when he took on the job as as chief medical advisor in England, is his official title? I think.
I think
when
so.
He took it on, I think when he took it on, they probably said to him, "Nah, it's fairly easy actually. You probably don't have to do. There's no real public engagement part of it, to be honest. It's just giving a bit of advice to the government. You'll be fine." Then all of a sudden, a few months later, he sees himself stood on a what's it called now? It's basically stood on a platform talking to everyone else and talking to the entire nation.
It's going to be interesting how this pans out for the government, because I kind of keep hearing mixed responses. So some people are kind of praising the government and they sort of saying that Boris Johnson's going to be the next Winston Churchill because of guiding us through this coronavirus and so on. Whereas on the other side of things, you've got a lot of people who are suffering as a result of sort of support not kicking in, particularly like things like self-employed. How is this going to affect the economy going forwards and so on? But I suppose the government could probably say, after all of this, well, actually, the financial crash wasn't our fault. We were just in government at the time. But I think they've said that before as well. I mean, where have you heard that said before over the last few years? Remember the last financial crash?
Exactly, yeah. Which was definitely the fault of the Labour Party if you're a Conservative, or as Labour Party said, well, it's a global crash, nothing to do with us. I don't really think you can blame the Conservatives for this virus that started in China, to be fair. But it is interesting, you do sort of say some of the things that have happened. Rishi Sunak, the Chancellor, who wasn't Chancellor sort of a month ago and seems to have come out of nowhere to all of a sudden be addressing the entire nation. And to be fair, does speak quite well publicly as well.
And he likes Yorkshire tea, which we've mentioned in previous podcasts.
Yeah, we've mentioned his love of Yorkshire tea. He said for basically all people who are employed, you will get 80% of your wages guaranteed up to £2,500. And for self-employed people, it will also guarantee their trading profits of up to 80% up to £2,500 as well, which is very good. I suppose a slight problem for self-employed people might be exactly how much they have to declare to a taxman, which now might cause a bit of a problem. But there we go.
And going along with that, we'd like to make our own announcement here on the Waste of Web Space podcast and say that every listener will be getting 80% of this podcast completely free. The other 20% you have to pay for. Not sure which part of the podcast you want to pay for. It's completely up to you. Do you think that made any listeners turn off?
We will do a profit sharing model as well, and you can have 80% of our profits that we make from this podcast. But unfortunately, you need to take on 80% of the losses as well, if that's all right.
Which we have had. We've had to buy a new mixer.
New mixer, yeah.
Trying to get set up for all this. So I've got a new mixer now.
There's attachments for microphones and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
We've also had... we've given a round of applause, haven't we, to the NHS? 8 o'clock on Thursday night. Did you give them a round of applause?
Yes, I did. Although in my living facilities, I do not have a balcony or even a front door, really, or a window I'm able to lean out of. So I sort of sat in my living room, clapping myself away.
Okay. Yeah. You gave yourself a clap. Well done, Jimbo.
Yeah. That was probably the most exciting part of my day as well.
At 8 o'clock on Thursday night. Obviously, they're not the only key workers around. There's a lot of delivery drivers who are deemed as critical key workers. And I'm going to give those a big round of applause at some point tomorrow between the hours of 7 o'clock in the morning and 8 o'clock in the evening. Actually, no, I'm only joking. My next door neighbour will do it for me. I'll be sat in the recycling bin waiting for him.
So, I was thinking this. Are locksmiths classed as key workers?
Hey, go on. Have you got your sound effects on the soundboard? Yeah.
I am ready to go. Do you want me to repeat what I said? Are locksmiths counted as key workers? Thank you.
Thank you. Well done. And that's the end of today's show. But no, as I say, that really has been keeping things going forwards. We've also had a lot of people doing what we're doing virtual conferences, doing webinars, working from home. We've seen there was a vicar who did a sermon via Zoom or Microsoft Teams or whatever it was, kind of virtually conferencing himself out. Do you know what the slight problem was?
Go on.
He lit a candle and accidentally leant over it and set himself on fire during the virtual virtual ceremony that was conducting during the virtual mass. But never mind.
That's brilliant. I mean, we're able to, obviously, in future podcasts, now we're using this sort of technology, we can actually share the screen at the same time, potentially, can't we? And show people these videos as we go along. So we'll work on that in future, as we're also looking potentially at broadcasting live as well, using Facebook Live or YouTube or other facilities like that as well.
Yeah. One thing that I've been a bit interested in is the amount of people who are doing kind of online tutorials.
Yep.
If you've seen those, so I think at 9 o'clock there's sort of like a PE thing with Joe Wicks, does like a fitness thing at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
At 10 o'clock, Mylene Class is doing sort of live music performances. Seen that? Would you fancy that with Mylene Class? Learn a bit of piano with Mylene Class?
Not particularly, no. I mean, I don't have a piano, so it's not. I have like a kid's Disney piano keyboard thing.
Okay. Not quite sure that'd be up to her standard, but
yeah.
You can do dancing with Oti Mabusi.
All right. Okay.
I'd be up for that. Can you imagine that? How Strictly Come Dancing going to work this year if you can't get within 2 meters of each other?
Well, Pete McKee has done a video about drawing like him, hasn't he? Like a sort of illustration class. And obviously we mentioned Pete McKee because we are a Sheffield-based podcast and Chapeltown's best podcast, and we think the only podcast in Chapeltown. We are actually about in walking sense. Would you say 10 minutes away from each other, Fisher?
Well, probably a bit less than that, to be fair.
Yeah, there you
between
go.
5 and 10 minutes.
Yeah, so we're not too far apart.
Yeah. We've got you can do maths with Carol Vorderman as well. Although after a couple of episodes, she might get replaced by Rachel Riley, who's a bit younger and a bit cooler and all that sort of stuff. History with Dan Snow, who's Jon Snow's son, famous TV historian. You can do English with David Williams, who can't even spell the word Williams, so I'm not too sure on that one. Food and cooking with Jamie Oliver.
Dog sitting with David Attenborough.
I've not seen that one.
Can't get out and about now and look at all the animals, can he?
So he just sits at home and sits with his dog and tells you how to look after him.
He's surely high risk.
That's good. But he's in his 90s. Is he the same age as the Queen? He's in his 90s, isn't he? He's about 94, 95, yeah. I
think so, yeah.
I did see that there was a boxer. Have you heard of Billy Jones Saunders, the boxer?
I've heard of him, yeah.
I don't know if he's got some kind of Sheffield connection with his training Sheffield, maybe. Did you see what he did yesterday when he was doing a bit of a boxing guide with the punch bag? Did
he miss and hit whoever it was holding the punch bag, or?
No, he said to everyone watching, he said, right, if your wife's giving you a bit of stick, this is how you punch her in the face.
That's not ideal, is it?
No, so he's apologised today, saying obviously he never condoned sort of domestic violence, even though he did sort of give people advice on how to be the perpetrators of it.
Yeah, and when people are shutting doors with lots of Stella that they've panic bought, it's not the best bit of advice to be giving out, is it? There is also an app, isn't there, called House Party, which is a sort of video meeting app, isn't it, where you can kind of go and sort of like video call with people on a weekend when you're having a drink and various things like that. So I tried it. I clicked on it, and I was just having a look what house parties there were to access. There was a fella called Noel. Clicked on that. Next thing, Mr. Blobby's running through, and there's everywhere. Absolute nightmare. So I'm not going to try that one again.
I hope he didn't have his crinkly bottom out.
Well, that's it. That's the problem with video conferencing. You've got to make sure you dress all the way up just in case you do have to stand up mid-video call. So anyway, can we move away, do you think, from coronavirus? Is there anything we can move away from? Can we talk about other things? Because obviously there are other things going on still. It's just you don't really hear about it at the minute.
Yeah, I don't know whether such things are possible or whether we're locked into talking about coronavirus for maybe the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
No, sorry, go on.
Go for it.
No, I was just saying sort of it is kind of unfortunately becoming quite a, joking aside, quite a dangerous strain on our resources. I think in the last couple of days we've had up to sort of 250 people a day dying from it.
Yeah.
Which is quite unfortunately a very, very large amount. I did see that I think generally in the UK, is it around about 1,500 people normally die per day, give or take a bit. So obviously it's quite a large portion of that and increasing sort of that and our resources quite a bit. Interestingly, I did come back when we came back from holiday last Saturday. Landed at Birmingham Airport because we managed to get good flights going to and from Birmingham. And so it was strange at the end of the holiday that we'd effectively everything had shut down last couple of days. So I never thought I'd be so pleased to say I'm back in Birmingham, but I really was on Saturday night when we landed. And I'd seen today that yesterday I'd seen that Birmingham Airport could be used as a temporary mortuary for storing loads of bodies, and they could easily store about 2,500 bodies there. If there's a backlog of people dying, they'll put them in Birmingham Airport for a bit.
Right.
Which is an unusual use for an airport.
It is, yeah. And they are sort of like building sort of like temporary hospitals and things as well. So a lot's changing, isn't it? As a sort of part of all that in the UK. So moving away slightly from... Oh, well, we want to talk about... Just before we do move on and finish talking about coronavirus, there are some sort of villains in all this as well, aren't there? As part of the coronavirus and kind of employers who kind of decided they wanted to go against the grain a little bit and so on. Sports Direct... allegedly, and I think this is true, tried to stay open and class themselves as an essential shopping outlet, didn't they?
Well, they supply fitness equipment to anyone who wants to buy fitness equipment. I think the key thing is that the government has told people to keep hydrated, and Sports Direct sell them massive mugs, don't they? So you can keep going.
Actually had a point.
Yeah.
And of course, the other villain as well is the Weatherspoons boss, isn't it? Who decided that, again, his claims was that there's no evidence that shows that people get this virus from being at the pub, stood next to each other, hanging on to each other, kissing each other, hugging each other. There's no evidence at all of any of that.
If that happens at the pubs that you go into, I might go in those pubs a bit more often. But well, yeah, he wanted to try and stay open for as long as he could. Obviously, he's told his members of staff that he won't pay them at all until he gets his money through from the government to cover his 80% of people's wages. He's also advised members of staff that if they can go and get another job at Tesco or Sainsbury's doing work at the moment, then they're welcome to go and get one and working at Weatherspoons. So, lovely bloke, isn't he?
It shows a lot of people who are formulating a hit list at this time, during this time. There are places that they're going to try and avoid going to in future because of how some people have reacted to this sort of incident here in the UK and the rest of the world, I suppose.
Maybe it would be nice. I think we've been unfortunately for the last sort of 3 or 4 years, you kind of get a sense in the UK that we've been quite a deeply divided country. And it's really nice when you see sort of a sense of community and people coming together. And hopefully we may remember the people who kind of haven't been a part of that.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, get yourself out of the supermarket and go and panic buy some toilet rolls.
So anyway, moving away now from the coronavirus, I think we can move away from it. Have you ever heard of Bugsy Malone before, the rapper?
You know full well I haven't heard of him, Jimbo.
Well, he's been unfortunately involved in a car accident, and apparently he's not too well as a result of that. I was wondering whether it was because some other childish gangsters jumped out from the side streets and fired his car with silly string, custard, and things like that. But no, he's been involved in a car accident. So I just thought I'd point that out. But hopefully, he'll recover after having a bit of a crash there. But it was actually it was on a motorbike when that happened. But yeah, he's a rapper. So if you've never heard of him before, check that out. Have a look. Hope he'll be okay, of course. Anything else you want to mention, Fisher?
Yeah, the world's oldest man.
Yes.
British.
Yeah, he's British, isn't he? And he's 112 years old today as we record this. Hopefully, as we obviously put this out there as well. But the weirdest, before you kind of sort of go on and tell me a bit about what you think about all this, but he's 112. But did you know that Britain's oldest woman is also 112 today?
Really?
How? If you are a lucky, if it's lucky, maybe not lucky, I don't know. If you are born today, it might be some sort of special day that means that you live a long time.
Maybe, although it doesn't appear to have worked for anyone else other than just the two of them that I'm aware of. So they were born, 1908?
Yep, 1908.
So they'd have seen the Titanic be launched and all that sort of stuff in 1912. Did anything famous? Remember anything famous that happened between 1908 and 1912? I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think it's a very unlucky title to have, isn't it? World's oldest person. Because the amount of times you hear that the oldest person in the world has died.
Yeah.
Very, very unfortunate title to have. I mean, out of all the titles you could have bestowed upon you, surely there are other ones that are much safer for your longevity.
Well, I mean, I was reading about the world's oldest lady, 112. She's called Joan. Doesn't live too far away, actually, from the world's oldest man either. They're in neighbouring counties. But the world's oldest lady, called Joan, 112, she has got a fella. She has.
Really?
Yeah. And she's got a bit of a toy boy.
Go on, Joe.
He's 92 years old. Oh, player.
Yeah, right.
There you go.
Anyway,
anyway, speaking, we are going to go back to the coronavirus slightly now, because we've obviously seen that now people have had to move a lot more to online shopping, haven't they, as a result of it not being quite as easy to go to the shops now, and people just sort of utilising technology more and being able to do your online shopping and all those kind of things. So I thought I would play a little bit of a game, because I'd heard during lots of different times during all this that people have been getting kind of odd replacement suggestions for certain items that they've ordered at the supermarkets. Have you ever done an online shop, which I haven't? Oh, no, I've never done an online shop. Have you? I need to get up to date with the world.
I've done an online shop with both Morrison's and I think I've done one with Tesco's as well. It might be Sainsbury's. I think in my entire life I've done 2 online shops.
Right.
But yeah, for whatever reason, I've not really done it with. I've not done it with Asda and Sainsbury's. We've tried it
because we live quite close to supermarkets, don't we? Quite here, so we're not that far away from, and we get off the train at the supermarket, don't we? So
yeah. So I've never been taken by it that much. I prefer to go into the supermarket and catch coronavirus myself, please.
So have you seen before that they often give you suggested if they haven't got the item in stock that you require, they make a sort of suggestion as to whether you want that instead.
Yeah. So if you want to order a beef Wellington and they've not got it, it'll try and give you a Wellington boot kind of thing, won't they?
Yeah. And I think you can sort of set your settings so that rather than you having to agree to a replacement, you can sort of put your faith in them to find you a decent replacement. You know what I mean? Rather than having to check every time and so on. So I heard recently that somebody had ordered some toilet roll, obviously in all the mass toilet roll panic, and the suggestion, because they didn't have any toilet roll in stock, as obviously everyone knows, there's been lots of toilet roll shortages because of all the panic buying. The suggested alternative was a light bulb. Toilet roll, and it turns out that this isn't the only time in the past that this has happened where people have got very odd suggestions for toilet roll not toilet rolls, for replacement items in your shopping. So I thought we'd play a little bit of a game. We could call it something like supermarket sweep, not sweep, but cheat supermarket.
Well, I think the clear thing is you've not actually thought of a name for this, have you?
Of course I haven't. No, of course I haven't. Do we ever?
No, not normally.
So, welcome to Supermarket's Replacement Objects game, because we didn't think of a name for it. So, what I'm going to do
by Rylan
is it does sound like a standard sort of ITV game show, to be fair, doesn't it, really?
He presents everything nowadays, doesn't he?
Yeah. So what I've done then is I've got 14 questions for you, and it's taken from various articles, news articles that I'd found and so on, that are about people getting the wrong or different items just sort of sent to them or suggested instead of what they'd actually ordered. So I'm going to give you you can either try and guess yourself. It's quite difficult. I've got multiple choice for you as well. Is that okay? So. Yeah. And I've even got the names of the people who made these requests as well. So it sounds like we've got loads of listeners who have got in touch with their... Anyway, we have got loads of listeners, haven't we, Fisher?
Yeah, and viewers as well nowadays.
Exactly. So, first of all then, Christy Tasker in London ordered a baking tray from Tesco. But what did she get instead?
Well, hi, Christy. It's good to hear from you again. I've enjoyed the podcast. So I'm sorry to hear that you ordered a baking tray. I think you might have instead... I think baking sounds like raking, so you might have been given a rake for the garden instead of a baking tray.
I think we might be best going with the multiple choice, to be honest.
Let's go with the multiple choice, yeah.
We're coming out here all day. But anyway, A, marshmallows. B, a rolling pin. or C, frozen baked potatoes?
Baking tray. You would have thought if this had any logic to it at all, it would be the frozen baking potatoes along with baking tray. So I'm going to say that, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's a no.
Yep, you're wrong. It's actually the marshmallows. So instead of a baking tray, Tesco suggested marshmallows, so something quite solid to something quite soft. There's no obvious relation to any of those objects.
Absolutely nothing.
No idea. Next then, Charlie from Clacton ordered strawberry laces from Tesco's, but instead got either A, strawberries, B, a packet of polos, or C, red shoelaces.
Well, red shoelaces probably would make sense, and I could understand that could be something that could happen. For example, actually, we got a shopping list yesterday. Because we're so good and family orientated. I went and bought some food for my brother and his girlfriend and for their 2 children, and she put Weetabix, if possible, chocolate, and I thought that meant chocolate Weetabix. We actually meant 2 separate things of Weetabix and chocolates. So it can happen. So I think if I was doing it and I was a bit sort of stupid, I feasibly think I could get confused and get some.
What are you trying to say about IT workers? What are you trying to say about them?
What I'm saying is they're working exceptionally hard in difficult circumstances at the moment. So keep it up, people who are working for the
Golden
big 4
champions.
Supermarkets. I say big 4 supermarkets, not forgetting Aldi and Lidl and Waitrose and some of those challenges too. I would say that you could feasibly actually get some red shoelaces instead.
Well done, yeah. See, I was quite surprised by that one because I'd not really seen that you could just go and buy different sort of coloured shoelaces, especially from supermarkets. But they were given red shoelaces instead.
I've had to buy shoelaces on a couple of occasions when my laces have broken, and it's been. To be honest,
is that when you've been to prison that time and had to hand your shoelaces in, and then they released you? You needed more shoelaces.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they cost probably about £1, something like that, but it was a bit expensive. And to be honest, I'd only got a shoestring budget.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, next time just buy the actual strawberry laces, and then you can eat them when you've done with them. Yeah. So, anyway, I needed to give. Do you want the old symbol for that?
Nah, it's all right. Go on. We'll crack on with the quiz.
It was delayed, but never mind. 3, a man online claiming to be a Tesco picker, so that's the people who pick the shopping that you order online, claims that when he discovered this sold out of pregnancy tests, his boss told him to put in some what instead? A, condoms, B, hand sanitizer, or C, a magazine?
Should he not instead just recommend that they give an ultrasound scan and some gel you put on your stomach when you magazine? I would say that probably the most logical thing would be some condoms because that involves sort of contraception. So I'm going to say condoms.
Well done. I mean, again, not the best suggestion, is it really? But that didn't actually happen. That was apparently somebody saying that his boss told him to do that. So how true that is or not, I'm not sure. Next then, Suzanne from St. Helens ordered red peppers from Tesco and got A, red chili peppers, B, red hair dye, or C, tomatoes.
Oh, I thought you were going to say a Red Hot Chili Peppers CD. So red peppers, red tomatoes. Well, that's not right, is it? Because it's green peppers and red tomatoes in Ready Steady Cook, isn't it? So that wouldn't fit. Which I think is coming back again, presented by Ryland, isn't it?
Is it?
I think so. Yeah. So what we got? Red tomatoes.
Ready Steady, panic buy.
Yeah. I think she might. I think red tomatoes. Yeah, red tomatoes are red peppers.
No, it was actually red hair dye.
Red hair dye.
Yeah, red hair dye. So Suzanne in St. Helens is walking around with bright red hair now because she got hair dye instead of peppers. And I wouldn't.
She's very hungry.
Yeah. Unless you put the hair dye in as a sauce, who knows? Next then, Darren in Ludlow ordered a garden fork from Asda, but instead got what? Was it A cutlery set, B, a a packet of sunflower seeds, or C, a box of matches?
Well, the logical one would say a cutlery fork. You would have thought, although obviously the word fork, you can that can be confused with something else. So you could get something completely different given to you. So cutlery sets, some seeds, or sorry, what was the other option?
A box of matches.
Box of matches. I don't see any reason why it would be a box of matches, but I'm going to say box of matches anyway. I think you might have got that.
No. It was the cutlery set. So if you first thought it was the cutlery set. Next then. Steve Peters in Northampton ordered bread rolls, which Asda swapped with what? A duvet set. B, a Swiss roll. Or C, sausage rolls.
Could bread and bed be sort of interchangeable? So bed, because when you get a duvet, it's kind of rolled up, isn't it? So I'm going to say a bed roll. I'm going to say a duvet instead of bread roll.
You're going to say duvet?
I'm going to say duvet, yeah.
No.
Oh.
It was sausage roll, so it was a little bit more obvious this time, but still not related at all.
Of course, next, then Cyril the Swan came in and threw them at a referee. No, so that was last week at pork pies anyway, wasn't it?
Number 7, John Paul Lumsden in Rochester ordered some potato smileys. As he was, and instead he was sent what? A T-shirt with a smiley face emoji on it. B, some smiley face biscuits, or C, turkey dinosaurs.
So I can't imagine who would get the T-shirt because there'd be so many things about sizing that might make it difficult. So I think it then comes down to smiley biscuits or turkey dinosaurs. And
do you think dinosaurs actually tasted like turkey, or is it just very misleading to people?
It's a bit misleading, isn't it? I mean, why do you only ever get dinosaurs made of turkey? I mean, surely you can do chicken dinosaurs. There's not much difference between chicken and turkey, is there? You can have chicken burgers, turkey burgers. You never have chicken dinosaurs. It's only turkey dinosaurs. I wonder why that is.
What is it with making other animals taste like other creatures, like Billy Bear, for example, which is ham?
Yeah. Well, that's interesting, isn't it? I think it might be smiley biscuits that you got instead. Well
done, congratulations. So we're over halfway through. A lady called Lilium tweeted that, and it went viral a few years ago when she ordered some cat food only to be sent what? A, bird seed, B, sliced cheese, or C, dog food.
I think feasibly the dog food or the bird seed would sort of make sense. Cheese slices, perhaps less so. Cat food, cheese slices. I think I wouldn't be surprised if someone gave a dog food instead of cat food. So I'm going to say dog food.
Well done. Congratulations. You're correct. Number 9, Rachel in Manchester ordered a cheese pizza from Asda and got sent what? A bag of grated cheese. B, a garlic bread with cheese. Or C, a pair of socks saying best grandma.
A pair of socks saying best grandma. Was she a grandma? Do we know that? Is that kind of an insult to injury?
Don't know any more information other than that.
Obviously, she was 112 and her husband was 92 years old, so she could have got the one saying best great grandma. I think she could have got a bag of grated cheese.
Well done, yep. So she just needed really the tomato puree, the sort of pizza base, and she could have been on her way with making her own pizza. But
what she needed basically was a pizza.
Yeah, exactly. Number 10, Kerry Lord in Boston had a friend. So it's one of these occasions. I knew somebody else, a friend of a friend. Kerry Lord in Boston had a friend who ordered some panty liners. So when the supermarket didn't have them in, they sent some A, fish fingers, B, galaxy chocolate, or C, cranberry juice.
Well, obviously the fish fingers were probably more appropriate as replacements for tampons as opposed to panty liners. And the cranberry juice could obviously be what you sometimes ends up in a panty liner. So what was the... Hang on, I am thinking the right thing here, aren't I? So what was the other option? So between cranberry juice and panty liner, cranberry juice,
gets a bar of galaxy chocolate or C, cranberry juice.
So why would you get galaxy? Well, why would you get any of them? Obviously, I I wonder if it's someone with a very poor sense of humour who gives them cranberry juice instead.
It's actually the Galaxy chocolate.
Galaxy chocolate.
Yeah. Which is not a bad replacement, really, is it? I'd be quite happy if that turned up instead of something else I'd ordered. Next, then. Christy Rose in Gloucester ordered some ultra-absorbent kitchen towels from Tesco's and was sent what in replacement? A, sanitary towels, B, cat litter, or C, party napkins?
Well, you'd thought sanitary towels would obviously, as we've just covered in the last question, would be very absorbent.
Still do the job.
Yeah, still do it, yeah. Napkins, you'd have thought probably would also potentially do the job. I'm sure I have been at certain functions in the past where they've not actually got the correct napkin. I was at somewhere a couple of weeks ago, and they didn't have any napkins, but they got one of those massive, great big blue hand toilet roll things that you get, and they would just ring some of that up and give it to you.
Oh, those were the weren't they, when you could go places?
Yeah, yeah. We weren't too concerned about hygiene. What kind of area of the bathroom it had to be using. It was fine. I think they might have given us sanitary towels.
And the answer there is correct. Well done. It is sanitary towels. Well done. Only 2 more to go. Beth Erwood ordered a DVD from Asda. The DVD was Drive, featuring Ryan Gosling. Only for it to be placed with what? A Fast and Furious film. B, Disney's Cars. Or C, car shampoo.
I've not seen Drive with Ryan Gosling, and also I am very fortunate. I've never seen any of the Fast and Furious films as well.
There are about 1 million, aren't there?
Well, there's 8, and I think as we established in the last podcast, the 9th one has been delayed somewhat. I think they might have given it...
Not Furious Enough. Is that what it's going to be called?
Probably, yeah.
Distance. Fast and Furious Lockdown.
Yeah.
Fast and Furious, the police stopped you to find out where you were going, make sure it was essential travel, or sending you home. Starring Vin Diesel.
Yeah. I think...
And The Rock.
Oh, yeah, Rock's in it nowadays, isn't he? Or didn't Paul Walker die in a car accident?
Yeah.
Star of it, yeah. I think it might have been Disney's Cars she got given instead.
It wasn't. It was Fast and the Furious film. She was quite disappointed that Ryan Gosling had been replaced by Vin Diesel instead, because she was a big Dan Gosling fan. Anyway, and this is the last 2. Sorry, now. Caroline Rosebrae in Hamel Hempstead ordered some vacuum bags. You know what you put your clothes in? When you put your clothes in off, and you want to preserve them or pack them smaller. Instead, she was throat lozenges, self-raising flour, or sandwich bags.
Well, the logical one would be the vacuum bags that you actually put in your vacuum cleaner. If you've got one of those old-style vacuum cleaners that, not like a Dyson, the old ones you've got, you would have thought that would make sense. That would be what you put in the vacuum bag, because it's a vacuum bag. So sandwich bags, I think they might use a sandwich bag instead. Which, to be fair, could work as a vacuum bag. You have to put something very small and put a hoover on there, and
you can put your socks in there, and maybe some of your pants, maybe, I suppose.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's correct. And then the last one then, Philip Pick on Twitter ordered some bunches of mint plants, obviously for making mojito cocktails. But what was he sent instead? A, Tic Tacs, B, horseradish, or C, a bag of shredded lettuce?
Okay, so the shredded lettuce presumably be more kind of for the vegetable, fruit and veg sort of section. Tic Tacs obviously will give the minty flavour to it, and horseradish, would that be? I don't think that'd be a placement for mint directly at all. Other than perhaps it's possibly the similar kind of colour. I initially thought mints of some form, so I think it might be given some Tic Tacs.
And the answer is wrong. It was horseradish. So imagine having a mojito with horseradish instead of mint.
That'd be very different, very unusual.
So there you go. That's people who've ordered things online and not got what they wanted and got different suggested things instead. So there you go. Enjoy that.
Hey, that was quite good. It's been probably the most entertainment I've had in the last couple of days, but that said, I've not left the house.
We are on 55 minutes, so I don't know 55 minutes. So I don't know how long your quiz is going to take.
Let's just do it anyway. Come on,
Go on, then.
we're not. Look, let's be honest. No one's got anything else to do, have they? Might as well
True.
just go for as long as we can.
Yeah.
So
keep your podcast short so that people can easily listen to it on a regular commute. Well, this might spill some of your work day up if you are working from home.
Yeah.
Go on then.
So I've got a quiz based on. It's kind of about people who've got statues named after, or unusual statues, got roads named after them. There's a couple of reasons why I'm doing this quiz, which actually will be revealed during the podcast. One of them was that I'd seen that Kurt Cobain was going to have a bridge named after him in Aberdeen. And then when I read the article, it was actually somewhere called Aberdeen in America, but they've not now named it after him instead. So, and there's another bit that's also kind of named as one of the questions, so I'll not go into that quite now. But I was intrigued by some of the unusual road names that you get. So, and also sort of people who've got strange statues. So I've kind of like combined the two into one thing. So, Mount Rushmore. You familiar with Mount Rushmore, Jimbo?
Yes, it's the one that's got the heads of different presidents on there.
Do you know any of the presidents on there?
So let me. Can I? Have you got them all?
I've got them all. Yeah, and this is part of the question. Is can you name?
Is Roosevelt up there? No.
Well, we'll address that point shortly.
So do you want me to guess or not?
Yeah, go on, guess.
Lincoln.
Lincoln's on there.
Washington.
Yeah.
That might be the only two I can guess. One of the
Okay.
No. No, that's all I can guess. Is it? They must have stopped doing it at some stage.
Well, we'll get onto that in a moment. But
Do you think there's any chance of the current American president being put on there?
Is this just a guy? So I said the word Donald Trump, and he plays trumpet.
There you go.
I answer the question. There's not a cat in hell's chance he's going to appear on there. So
unless they found some very orange-coloured rocks.
carve him onto some sandstone.
Yeah.
So on Mount Rushmore, Abraham Lincoln and George Washington are generally the two better now presidents on there. Who are the other two? So I've got four options. Who are the other two? Is it Theodore Roosevelt, Franklin D. Roosevelt, Thomas Jefferson, or Grover Cleveland?
Okay, I am gonna go. I think there'll be one of the Roosevelts on, but I might get in this completely wrong, but I don't know if one of them was not a great president, or maybe not. I don't know. I can't remember. But I'm gonna say that Thomas Jefferson's on there for definite. Yeah.
And you'll be correct.
Thank you. So let's. What were the other Roosevelts again? Sorry.
Theodore Roosevelt.
Yeah.
Who I think is a teddy named after Theodore Roosevelt.
A teddy.
I think the teddies are named after Theodore Roosevelt. Yeah, who sometimes refers to Teddy Roosevelt, and teddy bears are named after him, I believe.
Okay.
And Franklin D. Roosevelt, who was Franklin D. Roosevelt paralysed and couldn't walk for a number of years, but they managed to kind of hide it.
Are they related?
Well, I didn't get that far in the research for it, to be honest.
I'm going to go with the one that was named after a teddy bear, because that's or teddy bears are named after him, because that sounds like he's quite a nice bloke to have teddy bears named after him. So let's go with him.
And you'll be correct.
Yes. There we go. Sorry, playing catch up there. There we go. Yep.
Yeah, so the slightly interesting thing about Mount Rushmore is that it's not actually finished.
No.
You know, they haven't done it. They were meant to go a lot further down from the waist and keep going down, but they kind of said, "Oh, I've done the heads now, so we'll not bother. We'll pack in."
Yeah.
I suppose from their point of view, it's a good job they start at the top and not the bottom, because then if you have to keep going up from the waist, how much more shoulders are we going to do? Yeah.
Especially if it was done like in a Greek style. So there's just like, sort of like four penises on the side of the mountain or something.
That would be a great statue, wouldn't it? So, have you ever
do that for Donald Trump's face?
Hang on, you just play trumpet noise now, don't you?
Oh.
So, have you ever driven through the centre of Derby?
I've never driven through the centre of Derby.
Okay, well, to be fair, you're not missing much. But which road goes through the centre of Derby? Is it Donkey Kong Street or Lara Croft Way?
Wow. It can't be Donkey Kong. So I'm going to go Lara Croft, but it not actually be Lara Croft from the games.
You'll be correct.
Okay. And am I correct because I'm right, or is it actually named after Lara Croft?
It's actually named after Lara Croft as in the Tomb Raider.
Oh, right.
Which was developed by software developers who I think were from Derby. They had a competition about, we've got a new road, we need to name it after someone famous with Derby. There's a couple of Derby football players and they decided to name it after Lara Croft.
Right, okay.
What can only be described as...
named after Iranio or Dorigo. Do you remember them from the late 90s, early 2000s? Derby football.
I can't remember them, unfortunately.
Never mind.
Yeah, never mind. Keeping on the subject of football, what can only be described as the unusual statue of Michael Jackson that used to be homed outside Fulham's ground was originally located where? Was it originally located in Harrods, or was it specifically made to be outside Craven Cottage, Fulham's ground?
I think it was made to be out. No. I think it was in Harrods, but then he sold Harrods, so he decided to move it outside of Craven Cottage, and the fans weren't too happy about it. So I think that's the answer. It was made for Harrods, so it was meant to originally in Harrods. You
are absolutely spot on.
We're doing quite well so far.
Well done.
I'm all right, I think.
Yeah, it's. I had a bit of read up about it. Cause Mohammed Al Fayed, who used to own Harrods, also owned Fulham Football Club, but he subsequently sold it. So when he sold Harrods, he moved the statue from Harrods to Fulham Football Club, and I think obviously fans didn't like it because why was it actually there? No. Well, mind your language, sir. But I don't quite know what the significance was of the statue. I mean, Fulham playing black and white, and Michael Jackson's obviously been both in his lifetime, but they decided to move it there, and it was then moved to National Football Museum, which is slightly more bizarre because it's absolutely got nothing to do with football whatsoever, than the fact it was outside the football stadium for a short period of time. But it's subsequently moved out from there as well, so I don't quite know exactly where it is now. But yes, you were correct. So this is part of the reason why I've actually done this quiz, which is whilst driving to Faro Airport in Portugal last weekend, which road did I travel along just outside the airport? Was it Avenue de Nelson Mandela or Avenue de Mother Teresa?
Right, I'm going to go with Avenue de Mother Teresa. And the reason I'm going to go with that one is because Portugal, I believe, is a Catholic country. And I think Mother Teresa was Catholic as well. So I will go with that.
That is very good logic. So obviously you're completely wrong. It is Avenue Nelson Mandela. It is Avenue Nelson Mandela.
Is that you?
That's an attempt at Nelson Mandela, that.
Oh, right. Okay, fair enough.
So, yeah, I have no idea quite why a lot of streets get named after sort of Nelson Mandela. Well, I do know.
Flats as well. Yeah,
I think there was I don't know if that was part of a bit of an attempt to kind of have a go at the Tory government in the 1980s.
Yeah.
Who weren't that keen on sort of South Africa and Nelson Mandela, and I think it took a while for Nelson Mandela to be recognised for kind of what he did later on in life. Mm-hmm. For a time, he was sort of viewed as a sort of a trouble causer and all that sort of stuff. So I think the Tories didn't like him. Sort of Labour governments were maybe blaming things in the UK after Nelson Mandela. I think. I don't know that for certain. So with around 2,077 instances in the UK, which of these is the most popular name for a street? Is it Main Street or High Street?
That's tough. Could be easy. Could be either because they're both featured in your quiz question.
Yeah.
Both possible answers, of course. I'm gonna say, just from a sort of my own perspective of which streets I've seen and haven't seen, I would say I've seen more high streets than main streets. So let's go High Street, please.
And you'll be correct. There's only about 850, 900 versions of Main Street up and down the country. Interestingly, whilst obviously we're talking about High Street, Main Street, if you consider sort of grouping together Church Lane, Church Street, and Church Road, that is by easily the most popular kind of start of a name. Obviously, there used to be a lot of churches in the country.
Yeah.
A fair amount of churches in the country. Obviously, Station Road is another one that's quite popular. Obviously,
Yeah.
kind of leading up to train stations and all that sort of stuff.
Where I live.
Yeah. School Lane, New Road. Obviously, when they get a new road. Mill Lane is quite a popular street as well, because obviously you get a lot of, well, used to be a lot of mills in certain areas. Green Lane as well. I'm not quite sure why. Well, that's just sort of in a bit of a suburban, leafy kind of area. But there we go. So next up, what is unusual about the boulevard, the Peso, that runs in Kansas City? Is it that it's the longest named street in the country, and that's in terms of length of the actual road, and it's also the only one that's called the Peso? Or is it that it changed its name to Martin Luther King Street in 2017, but the residents of Kansas City had a vote and changed it back to the Peso?
Let's go with the second one, shall we?
So they named it after Martin Luther King, but there was uproar and it got changed back.
I don't know if I seem to have heard about this, or not. Maybe I don't know.
You would be correct.
I think I do seem to remember hearing that in the news, maybe a couple of years ago, maybe.
Yeah, potentially. So it just did vaguely ring a bell when I was doing the research for it. So back onto a few roads about statues now. Sorry, actually, no, we've got another one about road names. What is the most popular street name in America? Is it First Street or Second Street?
I'm going to say Second Street, because I think in some cases they would have First Street would have been called something else. They wouldn't have necessarily had to name it First Street. I think they'd normally say Second Street because it's the second street of whatever, if you know what I mean. So if there's a road called, I don't know, Donald Trump Street, I think a road just off that they would call Second Street rather than go Donald Trump Second Street. They just call it Second Street. So I'm going to go with.
That is good logic, and you're right as well.
Hey.
I think obviously they use the grid system quite a lot, but it's not that uncommon to have First Street kind of renamed as Main Street potentially, or kind of named Martin Luther King Street, George Washington Street, all that sort of stuff. So I think that's pretty much why we end up with it being like that. So we've got a couple of questions about statues now. The largest gold statue since the ancient Egyptian times was commissioned by the British Museum in 2009. Who was it of? Was it of Kate Moss in a yoga position, or was it of Stephen Fry smoking a pipe?
So they commissioned the most expensive trophy, did you say?
No, a gold statue that was the most. It was the largest gold statue made since ancient Egyptian times, and the British Museum did it in 2009.
And they decided to choose either Stephen Fry or Kate Moss.
Yes.
I'm not going to
dispute that any.
I'm not going to dispute that any of those haven't added to British culture over time. They both have, definitely. But it seems quite an odd choice that it was one of those two, doesn't it? You know, if you'd have thrown, I don't know, there's other people you could have thrown in there. I don't know whether you'd have thrown Winston Churchill in there or other things like that. I might have, be more tempted to go for something like that, who's maybe historically a bigger character.
Well, just hold your horses, because he's coming up in the next question.
Sorry?
So just hold your horses, because he's coming up in the next question, Winston Churchill. So.
Okay. Let's say Kate Moss, because she would have used less gold. She's probably smaller than Stephen Fry smoking a pipe.
You are correct. It was of Kate Moss.
Okay.
In what can only be described as a very interesting position. I would recommend you Google it, possibly at some point.
Okay.
Although not when you're in a working environment. Possibly if you're working from home, you're fine to do it. 2009, the British Museum commissioned a piece that ended up with Kate Moss being sculpted in gold, the largest gold statue in ancient Egyptian times. Great time to do it, isn't it? 2009, right in the midst of a global recession. Let's get a massive gold statue made of Kate Moss. Good way to spend public money. So, which of these statues is in a genuine place? Is it there is a statue of Paddington Bear in Paddington Station, or there is a statue of Winston Churchill outside Churchill Insurance's head office?
Well, Churchill Insurance use a dog rather than Winston Churchill.
Oh, yes.
So, but obviously, I think maybe the original idea of the company name and stuff probably did come from Winston Churchill.
Oh, yes.
And the first one again, what did you say? What was that about, the first one?
Oh, yes. Oh, sorry. It was Paddington Bear at Paddington Station.
I've not heard of that, but then again, I've not heard of the Winston Churchill one either. So I'm going to go with Winston Churchill.
Oh, no.
Oh. Okay.
It is. There is quite a small statue of Paddington Bear in Paddington Station, in honour, obviously, of the cartoon character and film character as well. Now, good film actually. If you've seen it.
Yeah, it is a good film. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's only 3 questions left now. What did Andy Murray get as part of winning the Shanghai Masters in 2011? Was it that a new road built outside the venue was named after him, or he got a Chinese terracotta statue of himself?
Interesting. Would they've named a new road after their new champion? Would they? I might be.
It was an as yet unnamed road.
Yeah, I mean, it was near to the where they play tennis.
Yeah, literally an access road into the tennis stadium. Yeah.
Because you thought they might have used maybe someone who's won most there, or maybe a player who's kind of bigger in their country, maybe, or something. I don't know. So I'm going to go with the one that he actually got a small sculpture statue of himself.
You would kind of be correct, yes. The slight nuance there being that it wasn't actually that small. It was actually taller than he was. I think it was about a 7-foot statue of himself.
How was he going to get that one back?
I don't know. I think he struggles to get it on his hand luggage, put it that way. So I'm not sure whatever became of the statue. So anyway, next up. Which of these is a genuine road in Copper Crest in Las Vegas? Is it Eminem Street or is it Tupac Lane?
Okay. So which is the real one?
Which is the real road, not Slim Shady.
Okay. Yeah. I was going to say, could you please stand up for the correct answer there? But no, never mind. I'm going to go Eminem, Tupac Lane. Whereabouts is it again? Sorry.
It's in Copper Crest in Las Vegas. So just on the well, there's not a huge amount to Las Vegas, but it's not sort of right in the centre of Las Vegas. It's just sort of on the outskirts of the city.
I'm going to sort of say, where did Tupac die, or where was he sort of killed? Because he was shot, I believe, wasn't he? But I don't think it was in Las Vegas. But for that reason, I was going to say, is it named after where he was killed or died, or where he was born, maybe, or grew up, or whatever? So let's go with Tupac.
You would be correct.
Is there any further details as to why, or is it just a random sort of named street?
There is a bit of debate as to exactly which Tupac it is, because there are other Tupacs, including, I think, an Inca leader from years and years and years ago from the ancient world. Tupac was, I think, born in Manhattan, New York.
But was it because the supermarket got them a 2-pack of light bulbs instead of it?
I think that undoubtedly must have been the case. I think Eminem was Detroit, but I don't know for certain. It says he was born in Missouri, which is that in Detroit? Is Detroit in Missouri?
No idea.
His hometown is Detroit, Michigan. So I want to say Detroit is more commonly known with Motown, I think, isn't it?
Okay.
But again, I could be completely and utterly talking a load of rubbish. Who knows? Any ideas? Anything to add on there?
No.
Yep, it is. Motown is based in Detroit, and it's a portmanteau word, I think, that means, because Detroit is famous for making cars, so it's the word motor town put together.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's interesting. You learn something new on the Waste of Web Space podcast every week.
Do you want me to tell you something? Do you want me to tell you something a bit more interesting?
Go on.
Have you ever heard of LMFAO?
I have. Sexy and I Know It.
Sexy and I Know It.
And other songs. Shuffle, Every Day I'm Shuffling and all that.
Yeah. Party Rocking.
Yeah, that's the one.
I think her first song was called I'm in Miami Bitch.
All right, okay.
What it was called. Yeah. And the two people in LMFAO are relatives of the person who set up Motown, the Motown label. Mm-hmm. I think Berry Gordy set up the Motown label, and two people there. One of them is his grandson. I think the other might just be his son, or it might be son and great grandson or something. Or it might be grandson and great grandson, something like that.
Well, obviously, one of their most popular hits. They are completely factually correct when they say everybody's in the house tonight. Yeah, so there you go.
It took a few years to get there. But anyway, last question coming up after we've drifted off and started talking about LMFAO. In Porters Lake, Nova Scotia, do you know what Nova Scotia means, by the way?
No.
It means New Scotland, I think.
All right, okay.
That could be. You might want to check that out, but I think that's what it means. In Porters Lake, Nova Scotia, Canada, there are 3 interconnecting roads. What are they called? Is it this street, that street, and the other street? Or is it called Tom Street, Dick Street, and Harry Street? So what did a very bored town planner come up with?
I think I like both of them. So if I'm going to go which one I like, I think I'm going to go with the first one. I like that one most. That's very lazy and bored.
This street, that street, and the other street.
Yeah.
You would be correct.
Hey! Brilliant. Enjoyed that. Was that the last one as well?
That was the last one. Well done. I think you've done quite well there as well.
It's just like when it just was it were getting good, you ran out of street names. Anyway, one for the future. Maybe we can do that one again. Who knows? Thanks, Fisher.
Okay, thank you, Jimbo.
And this may yet have been our longest podcast, so we best bring it all to an end there. But we're going to try podcast a little bit more, aren't we, seeing as we're stuck in with nothing to do. As we said earlier, we might give things like Facebook Live a go as well and other things like that. So we'll look into it and see what we can do. Although it did take us long enough to get this set up. So,
Jimbo, obviously, when you say we've got nothing to do, we are both working from home and working exceptionally hard between the hours of 9 to 5. So
we can't go anywhere after that, though, can we? You were such a social butterfly.
Exactly. I mean, I used to go out maybe once a month, something like that. And that's been cut down. So I've started drinking again. I started drinking again as well.
Yeah.
75 days I did of 74 days I think I did of not drinking.
So just under 3/4 of your target.
Well, yeah, but it's quite an ambitious target, 100 days.
And then it's happened.
Yeah.
So
what happened was I got a free pass to an airport lounge where drinks were free. And I had a 3-hour delay, so I was in there for about 5.5 hours.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, I drank quite a bit at that point.
Don't blame you. Anyway, thank you very much for listening. We're going to mention, by the way, that we have had a recent review. Do we want to mention this before we go? So we've had a recent review on our podcasting service, on the Apple service. So I believe it might be from Henry, because Henry did say he was going to write us a review. But it's Slim JXM has left us this review. Might be Slim Shady himself, who knows? Warm and funny. The chemistry between Jimbo and Fisher is infectious, and their ability to bounce off each other, which we can't do anymore because we're not sat in the same room anymore.
I also wouldn't want to be infectious at this point in time.
Bounce off each other and banter back and forth makes it for great podcast content. Perfect listening for Sunday stroll. Which again is very relevant because you might be able to have plenty of them at the minute going forward, or just the one a day, and maybe it's over a time limit for what you could do on a stroll. What are they giving? Did they say 20 minutes or something like that? Perfect listening for Sunday stroll, and that you will have you grinning to yourself as you walk and looking very weird while you do that. Just be careful who you're grinning at.
Yeah.
Anyway,
wouldn't it be really bad if Henry, for example, has a dog? And he's walking along. Imagine his dog has a massive turd on the street, and Henry has to bend down and pick it up just at the point when we say something really funny.
Where he's grinning his face off.
He's grinning and laughing and cackling as he's picking up a dog turd, and someone else comes out towards him and wonders what on earth's going on.
Well, I don't know if Henry's got a dog, but if Henry wants to update us, be good. We can give the dog a shout out as well, can't we?
Yeah. Or whether Henry just in general likes to pick dog turds off the street, which I'm hoping he doesn't. Doesn't strike me as that kind of person.
Thank you very much for listening. We'll see you again next time.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much, Jimbo, for sorting out all the sound and the video on this as well. You're doing a great job.
Waste of Web Space on Twitter and Facebook. wasteofwebspace.co.uk if you want to see our website. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. See you next time. Bye-bye.